Hi everyone, I'm Shannon Spake. Welcome to Clash Endurance All Access and welcome to beautiful Watkins Glen. Over the next hour, we're gonna have a lot of fun. We are gonna pull back the curtain on the world of triathlon.
You gotta be willing to hurt and suffer day in, day out in order to do this.
We've got the top pros mixing it up with age groupers, but every single one of them wants to be the inaugural winner of Clash Endurance at the Glen. Clash Endurance is more than just a race. That's because since it started, it is setting the bar for the race experience, hosting events at some of the most famous racetracks in the world: Daytona International Speedway, Homestead Miami Speedway, and today here in Watkins Glen.
Time to rock and roll in upstate New York.
This is going to be one heck of an afternoon of racing.
Welcome to one of the most famous racetracks in the world, Watkins Glen International.
The gloves are off in the battle for the lead.
This is where the real battle is right now on the bike.
Checkered flag in the air.
You want to lap up this finish strip. You want to lap up the crowd.
We've had so many of the most famous race car drivers cross that finish line first, and every single triathlete in the field here today hopes to do the same. So sit back, relax, enjoy Clash Endurance All Access. Now that we know what Clash Endurance is all about, how about we meet some of the world-class pro triathletes who are going to compete in this event, hoping to take the checkered flag.
I'm Sophie Watts. I've been a pro triathlete since 2018. I started with the short course style racing, so I was trying to go to the Olympics for many years. I decided to make the switch to long course.
Haley, are you guys wearing aero helmets or regular helmets? Just aero.
So now I'm pursuing my goals, dreams in sort of the long course sphere of triathlon racing.
I tried. No, I'm even more matchy on race day.
I'm Haley Chura. I live in Bozeman, Montana. This is my first Clash Endurance race. I've been racing triathlon for more than a decade. Here we go. At this point in my career, I love doing unique races in new locations. So this is my first time in upstate New York, first time in the Finger Lakes region, first Clash Endurance race, first time hopefully running on a speedway. There's a lot of firsts, even though I'm kind of a veteran in the sport.
My name's Jason West. I live in Boulder, Colorado. Professional triathlete. Race mostly Olympic half-distance racing.
I'm wondering when we go down.
I saw you checked out the bike course yesterday and you were wondering when the downhills were going to come.
Yeah, well, I was just out for like an easy ride, and the first 10K is just uphill, and I was like, when am I going to go down? So that's, I think, one of the most challenging parts of the race is getting out of the water and getting onto the bike. It's not like you can get on your bike and work into it. It's going to be like full gas as soon as we hop on the bike.
My name's Nicholas Chase. I'm a triathlete, have been for 10 or 15 years now. It feels like a blink of an eye.
Oh yeah, we need to do the train.
You don't introduce yourself as Race Chase? Is this
No, I don't.
No?
You don't want to like say your nickname. That that doesn't work well.
Real Tri Squad as a team was born out of COVID. We actually started something when nothing was happening. Started fundraising for the team so we could support ourselves rather than having to go beg sponsors every year. Prize money's not the way to do it as a pro athlete in this sport. Bonuses are great, but you've got to be putting out good content.
I'm Lesley Smith. I'm a pro triathlete. I live in Boulder, Colorado. I've been doing triathlon seriously for about 8 to 9 years.
No, you just do it.
Is it a rule though?
Just do it. It's only a rule when they make it one.
I guess the water's like a perfect temperature. Felt a little chilly at first, but then once we got going, it was really enjoyable.
What are some of the things that stand out to you the most about this event?
As with all the Clash events, being able to do, a chunk of the race on an actual racetrack where cars race is just a super creative, innovative idea for triathlon that honestly, I don't think anyone ever thought of until Clash started doing it.
I don't know. Let's go bike ride. Do whatever you want.
Yeah. Let's go get some shots.
It is a beautiful lake. Oh, yeah, it's gorgeous.
Super excited to be here in Watkins Glen. Growing up, I was actually mostly a swimmer. My dad was Navy as well, so we always grew up on the water, was involved in a swim team at a very young age, and just
So you like swimming?
Oh, I do to a certain extent. I love running more, but I mean, swimming has always been a big part of who I am, and I think also is what inspired that competitive fire inside of me very early on. At Stanford, I did cross country and track and field.
I love running just as much as a runner,
Oh,
right?
yes.
Like running, people
Yes.
love running.
Oh, we love it.
And we look at places sometimes and we're like, oh my God, I can't wait to run there.
Absolutely.
So when you looked at the track at Watkins Glen and you realized that you get to run there, what's that like?
I'm so excited. I mean, it's such a spectator-friendly course as well, which I think that's so important too in our sport, right? Is to get the spectators and the family members who are honestly our support system involved. And sometimes, especially with long course, it's hard because you see your athlete and then 2 hours later you see them again, but excited to be on the track. It looks a little hilly, so I'm excited for that too. I actually do enjoy the hills, so that'll be fun.
Being here in Watkins Glen is really cool. I've never seen the Watkins Glen racetrack.
There were cars on the track yesterday,
Yep.
some F1 cars.
Yes, when we were swimming, we could hear them.
They're
And I
laying
was
down
like,
rubber for you. That's what they were doing.
Totally, totally.
I know you do a podcast that's based around women in this sport. What is the importance of that, and what is the message you want to get out about women in this sport?
I felt like I never got interviewed, and I had a lot of stories to tell. And I knew there were other women who were like me, who didn't get to do the interviews, but then also didn't get the interview practice. A lot of times we're talking to women, and it's their first interview ever. And you get to hear these stories, these incredible stories, and they weren't being told anywhere else. And it's been really fun for me, and I've grown kind of a community around it too, where sometimes I'll be at races and I'll be like running and I'm kind of like feeling sorry for myself, and someone will be like, oh, I love your podcast. And I'm like, oh, yay, someone listens.
Yeah, I read that you said, and I'll quote you, this year is all about showing I can race with the best in the world. And you said that the second in Miami was definitely a big step in that direction.
Yeah.
What did you learn about yourself on that day?
It's just that I can compete with all those best guys, you know, all these guys that are considered at the top of the sport. And I feel like I can go out and race with them and beat them and things like that. And if I have my day, then I can come out on top.
We've got some world-class pros here to compete, but up next, they tackle the Glen for some leisure time before the big race on Saturday. Stay with us.
Hand up over your head. Awesome, that'll be working. Yeah. You want something fast and fun or slow and steady?
Slow and steady is good today.
Still okay?
Yeah.
Now that we've done our pre-race workouts, kind of checked those boxes, that's done. It's still pretty early in the day. We have some leisure time, so we're gonna do some kayaking on this beautiful lake, and then we'll do a little bit of hiking, just some kind of light activities to enjoy the area, hang out with friends, and you know, triathlon, it's always nicer when it's a bit more social.
All right, guys, I guess next we'll check out the Franklin Street Gallery. I think there's like a lot of good art about the area, race cars.
This is the one that we're gonna go see or something?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. State Park. Learning about Watkins Glen's history as well through the paintings that we went to the gallery downtown. I can't believe that racing is so ingrained in here, and a spectacular opportunity to bring the family and immerse them.
How close will we get for their speed going down a hill?
Bike helmets.
Yeah.
I'm Andrew Starykowicz. I got into triathlon on a bet. One of my buddies, we both swam together in high school, and he bet me that he swam and ran cross country, and he bet me that he could beat me in a triathlon. And he kept trying to get me to do it for 2 or 3 years, and I kept, no, kicking the can down the street. And he actually convinced my mom to do it. So if your best friend and your buddy are doing a triathlon, you end up doing it. I ended up beating him.
Did your mom do the try as well?
Yes. Yeah, my mom still races.
Awesome.
We do some samples if you guys want to try anything.
I did my first triathlon in 2000, my second one in 2001. I turned pro in triathlon in November of 2005. I think I have more starts than the rest of the field combined. I have more kids than the rest of the field combined, and I've been married more years than the rest of the field combined.
Jesse, you gonna leave any of that for anybody else?
You have not sacrificed your personal life as far as it comes with your family. I guess how and at what point did you find that balance?
My wife used to race, and she calls it BC, before children. You really can't have both of us training and both of us racing
I look at the course ahead of time and try to think what's realistic to get from point A to point B, and especially toting around the kids.
You get to come by them a few times on the run, you get to come by them on the bike, and you know, the swim it's right there in front of them. It makes it really enjoyable for them to be able to watch you, and makes it a lot of fun.
What you've gone through adversity-wise in your career and your life, how do you think that that maybe affected your perspective on that balance?
The adversity in my life is, a lot of it's been triathlon based.
Yeah.
I got run over by a truck while training. You know, when you almost lose it all, it changes everything.
You like the butterflies?
I mean, when I say lose it all, I just don't mean triathlon. I mean everything in my life.
This is the actual Watkins Glen. That's the Cascade.
I never thought I'd get back to racing.
There's a lot of people that would say, I'm done, right? And
I've never quit anything. I've never quit anything in my life.
One of the things I love about triathlon is that it gets me to visit places that I wouldn't normally visit. I'm kind of a homebody, but I love what travel, brings into my life, the growth I get. We went to the gorge, the Watkins Glen State Park, and that's just insane to me that I didn't know that existed, all the waterfalls and how beautiful it was and how easy it was to access.
Why is that the first thing we think of when we're like, oh, giant hole, giant cliff, you can jump in it?
Welcome to Seneca Lodge. I'm Jack Brubaker. We're one of the owners, and my brother there too.
So tell us about this place. What's so special?
It's been a racing headquarters for a long, long time. When they used to race through town, they had their banquets in our basement here, and all the crews would hang out in here. So we partied a lot in here in those days.
What, in your opinion, is the most iconic thing that's on this wall behind you?
Well, I'd say the winners' laurels, I would say. That James Hunt, Fittipaldi, and Ronnie Peterson and all put up themselves like that. So it's been a racing headquarters for a long time. I remember when Tim Richmond was here, he brought his victory party in when he won up in NASCAR, and the champion from the archery also came in, and they put an arrow through his hat, Folger's hat up there.
So what do you think about this sport of triathlon coming into town?
We love it all.
Yeah?
Anything that comes in, we love it.
The Glen's a special place to me. The road course and the history of the road course is a big part of it. But look around. This is vineyard country, and they make some spectacular wine here. The combination of what I call Main Street USA, the vineyards, that beautiful lake, racing up to the track. It's family, it's fun. You go to the gorge, you go to the parks, you kayak. What else can you ask for? That's what drew us here.
You guys went up the gorge?
One of the things we noticed very early on with the pros was, A, they weren't recognized by the masses. Example, as an age group athlete, I could tell you who #1 male was in the world, #1 female was in the world, but don't ask me who 2 through 10 or 2 through 15 were. We wanted to give them the stage that was worthy of what they did.
So I remember watching Paula Findlay win Clash Daytona. I just loved just watching that event and the atmosphere of it, and the coverage of it was so great. The knowledge of the commentators and just learning about the different athletes and their stories.
If the Tour de France has been doing this and we're captivated by 7 hours of cycling footage all day long, triathlon has a place to tell this story as well. And I think Clash is tapping into that, setting the standard, and exceeding where we've been previously.
It's just a different environment to anything that we normally experience in triathlon. The energy is just so high, I think, all the time because you're just in this enclosed venue. So it's just so cool. It's a very unique experience.
Everybody who I've talked to, they love the events, and everybody who's done one usually has come back to do more or plans to do more.
I think that the dynamic that this event and Clash in general, what we offer the age group triathlete, is something so different. Relaxing, I think, in certain ways, because you know what you're going to get. It's very family oriented, and I love that.
I'm so appreciative you guys are here. It's a family event, although it's highly competitive. World championship spots are on the line. But at the end of the day, we've got a social gathering for friends and family to all participate in an event as one group. And that's what's important for us, something for everybody.
It's always great to hear from the pros, but you know what? They're not the only ones that are competing here in Watkins Glen. Coming up next, we're gonna hear from the age groupers, the weekend warriors. They're just like you and me, and they're triathletes. Welcome back to Clash Endurance All Access. I'm Shannon Spake here in Watkins Glen. And all right, we've met the pros, but one of the really cool things about endurance racing is the pros aren't the only ones that are going to be on this course. What about the age groupers, the weekend warriors, folks like you, folks like me? We have regular jobs, we're parents, but we're also triathletes. Here are a few.
This is Patrick O'Rourke. I'm here preparing for Clash Watkins Glen and looking at some race cars with my boys. This is Wright and this is Benson. See the headers? See, they're wrapped because they get so hot. You can feel right here how hot it is just from running. 30s started hitting and it got a little bit harder to stay in shape. Feel like I need to do something a little bit more. Wanted some variety and decided to give a triathlon a shot.
Your kids, they're big racing fans as well. So you tell them you're going to get to see some F1 cars.
Yep.
What's that reaction?
I mean, they were going to Petit Le Mans when they were 6 months old, since we live right next to Road Atlanta. And this opportunity to see the old endurance cars and the historic F1 cars was a really cool opportunity for them. And they were excited to see it.
What do they say about Daddy getting to race on the track?
Oh, they're jealous. They're very jealous of it. We had their bikes at the track this morning. I think they wanted to get out there and run their bikes on the track after the cars got off. You see the name on that one? You see who drove that car? Do you know who that is? That's Nico Rosberg's dad. So they got to see one of Mario Andretti's old Lotuses and one of Keke Rosberg's cars and some of the more famous IMSA cars, and that's awesome. It was really cool. They got to sit in some of them. That's what's great about some of these events is the drivers love seeing kids, and they'll just go out of their way to bring them along and let them see stuff. We've really enjoyed ourselves here.
Do you have a favorite moment, like a favorite auto racing moment at Watkins Glen?
I was raised a Bill Elliott fan, so became a Chase Elliott fan. And so Chase got his first win at Watkins Glen. And so that was really exciting to see.
Of course. I mean, you have to be a Chase Elliott fan. You're a Georgia guy.
If you're from North Georgia, you're an Elliott fan.
No question.
Hi, I'm Tamath Rossi. I'm here at Clash Endurance Watkins Glen, middle-aged mom, about to kill this race. We're gonna go check in, let's go.
My name's Tamath Rossi. I'd always wanted to do a 5K. My goal had been to do it in 30 minutes.
Hi, how are you? Good.
Here to pick up your package? I am. Came in at 27 minutes and I was addicted. It was instant. Within a year, I was doing my first marathon. Did New York, which was fantastic. My first one was in Connecticut, and I crossed the finish line, and I was not even to the car, and I was like, I think I want to try triathlons.
Yeah, how are you?
Oh, doing great, thank you. How about yourself?
Good.
I'm a mom of 3, so it took some time for me to kind of find the bravery, really, to pursue a full distance. To be honest, the best people and the ones that get me the most excited are the ones that I train with. Everybody has different goals. Everybody comes at the sport in a different manner.
Now, on the day of the race,
it's really remarkable. They don't have sponsors. They don't have a full day to train. I'm up 3:30, 4 o'clock every morning. Even at an older age, it's still the balance of being a mom and being there and still being able to be dedicated and put in the time you need to. You know, it's been 10 years that I've been in this sport, and it's just so incredible to see your body still being able to answer that call and what you're pressing it to. I love the challenge. I just love the challenge of it all.
that's signing in and registering at Watkins Glen Clash Endurance. Let's go!
I'm Paul Felder. I am a retired UFC fighter. Towards the end of my career, when the pandemic hit, we were kind of all stuck inside. The gyms were all closed. I started running, and then I kind of got bored with running. I got a spin bike that I put in my closet upstairs, and then I found YouTube, found Lionel Sanders, and started watching all his videos. I kind of realized how intense this sport is.
I've never covered or been really involved in mixed martial arts, but to me, it seems like it's a very interactive, right? You're always right here with somebody, where this sport is, you put your head into water and you look at a lane line, there's a lot of isolation. What was that transition like for you?
I think I enjoyed it. I think that's maybe why I got into it, because I spent the last 10 plus years, you know, in a room full of guys beating the living crap out of each other. And now finally I can do a sport where I can spend more time with my family. I can do it in the garage. You know, I over time have set up my nice little pain cave out there. I got a treadmill out there, a couple bikes.
Tell me about your experience so far with the Clash Endurance.
Oh, it's been great. You know, we're staying at this little cottage that we found at one of the vineyards out here. I got to ride my bike around a little bit. I was just over at the track. I got to see that. I'm pumped, and it's something new for me. The distance is new. I'm curious to see what time I can get out there.
I'm excited for the ice cream shops tonight.
Oh my gosh.
Watkins Glen has awesome ice cream. What do you guys want to have?
Ice cream with chocolate.
My name is Brett Bagley. I got into triathlon. I was really inspired by my wife. She did a couple of races. Being an athlete my entire life to that point, knew that endurance sports was probably going to be my future. I was calling it my retirement sport after soccer was over. It was fun going from something that I've played my whole life to something that's completely new. Kind of fell in love with that.
Tell me about your soccer career. What was that?
I grew up about 45 minutes from here, played soccer for Naples, 1999 state champions.
So with your wife being a triathlete as well, how do you guys pick and choose who's gonna do which event?
We try to just balance it. I mean, the whole triathlon journey is all about balance, especially when your family's in it. My children are also racing youth events at this point.
Whenever there's an actual race that's this close to a campground, it's huge for us.
So I sleep right here, and we have a TV. Mommy and Daddy sleep right here, and we have like this nice kitchen and sink and stuff.
So tell me about this event, because I know you have your family here, you're in a motor home. How does the Clash Endurance kind of open it up for your entire family to be part of it?
Triathlon's a hard spectator sport. So when you bring your families to races, traditionally in most race atmospheres, you only get to see the people at transition or maybe when they cross the finish line. Something that I really appreciate that you guys do is you have your events at racetracks, which are looping courses, which make it much more spectator friendly. And then knowing that they'll be able to see me go around the course several times on the run and be there at the finish line was a huge plus for me.
My name is Stuart Selber. I started doing triathlons after I graduated from college. I went to the University of Delaware, and I ran cross country and track at Delaware.
Go Hens.
Yes, go Blue Hens, and ran a lot. So I was ready for a small break from running, but I was still interested in endurance sports. And I moved to Boston for graduate school. At the time, 1998, Boston was really a great place to be a triathlete. There was something called the New England Triathlon Series, or NETS, run by Dave McGilvery, who runs a Boston Marathon. And I did something like 12 or 14 triathlons in those 2 years, and they were all within like an hour of my house. It turned out to be just a great place to explore the sport.
What is it that keeps you coming back?
You know, triathlon has meant different things to me at different points in my life. It's never really just one thing. So I had a competitive stage where I was really interested in the podium and really interested in nationals, and I did fine. For me, more recently, it's become something that's more of a personal challenge and more of a personal interest. I do love racing, but I don't feel the need to race all the time. That's very demanding, not only on yourself, but on everybody around you. I try to inconvenience my family as little as possible.
What is it about the Clash Endurance?
I think the sport needs alternative formats. Getting to run and at some of your races, bike on the NASCAR track is a fabulous format. And I think that will draw people into the sport. I'm a fan of putting my head down on a difficult course and seeing what I have. I train so much that my few races, like tomorrow's really a celebration for me.
How do you not love the stories of the age groupers? They make up the bulk of these events, and they truly love triathlon, and really, they do it all. Coming up next, what we've all been waiting for, it is race day. T2, so the athletes are coming here this morning and they're setting up their run gear, and this is where it'll all take place later today.
I do a lot of mental repetitions leading up to things, and it's just making sure that what you envision is your reality, and that's always the hard part.
You sleep okay?
Yeah, I slept okay.
Yeah.
You know? My youngest woke up at 5, a little earlier than I wanted to wake up, but yeah, I got some hugs before I left, which was always nice.
All right, give me a high five. Good luck out there, man. Awesome. Have fun.
I kind of wish I would have pre-run this run course, but at the same time, I'm a little scared of it.
It's an inaugural event, so we are testing to make sure the masses are going to really enjoy this. So we're kind of a proof of concept.
I'm ready. I'm excited. Non-wetsuit, choppy swim, gorgeous bike course, lots of hills. This is definitely, I feel like it's made for me. I think it's going to be a really beautiful day.
Yes.
You know, I think
I love this because, I mean, you guys, this is such a loose environment. It feels like everyone's just here having a good time, right?
Oh, it is. It reminds me of my early days in triathlon. You get to meet people because it's not too many people. You get to chat and like talk about people, you know, the nerves, share kind of being nervous before, and then hopefully share some success stories afterwards.
Good luck.
Thank
Can't
you
wait
so
to see
much.
you at the finish.
Thank
All right,
you.
have fun.
Ready as I'm gonna be.
What's your expectations then for tomorrow?
Try to hurt myself as much as humanly possible. I don't know what kind of competition there is, so we'll see. But if I see anybody out there that looks like they're 35 to 40 years old, I'm gonna try to crush them.
Tomorrow it's what it's all about. It's the celebration. It's not a race. It's an absolute celebration of all of those whiny mornings, all of those joyous runs, all of those gruesome runs, bikes, swims. You know, this is the end result, and it's the opportunity really just to celebrate. Usually my daughter is writing inspirations on my arm with Sharpie, so I'll be really Sharpied up.
It's supposed to be fun, it's supposed to be enjoyable, and you can still be serious about it and have a good performance, you know, enjoying life and enjoying what you're doing.
It's race morning. I don't care where you are in the country. I don't care what size race you're competing in, what distance. This is where the energy is. Who's the guy that you're watching in the swim?
I know Jason West for sure. He's always gotten to that front group. We've swam together a few times, but he usually edges me out if it's like a full-on. I think we're gonna mark Starkey, West. I think there's a couple other good swimmers. So we may have a good little tight group of 8 or 9 of us.
We've heard that you're the guy that's going to wear everybody else out there.
I do wear people out on the bike. My strength is the first half of the race, so the first 3/4 of the race.
Honestly, from what we've seen in the sport, you have to be super good on all 3 at this point. Not enough to just be a good runner or a good swimmer. Especially at this distance, it's just getting faster and faster and faster, and we've seen that with the women.
You are that calm person. When I look out and I see people swimming and it looks and seems so calm, that's like you.
Well, sometimes you get to see this like beautiful sunrise from the vantage point of being out in the water. After that, I need to, you know, try to hold on to my lead as much as possible. I'm gonna go for it.
Here they are, the age groupers. We talked about it already. The weekend warriors. These people really make up the bulk of the triathlon community. You can see them getting ready for their swim start. And that is what's so beautiful about this community, is that truly anyone can be part of it and anyone can go out there and rock this course. Why this sport? What do you think it is?
I think it's the variety of the training. Really enjoyed getting into swimming. Keeps me in great shape.
The way I race is to take everybody out of their race. If I can start making them make mistakes, it completely changes the race for them.
Here they come. The men, the pro men have just gotten out of the water. Starkey's leading the way. We know how good he is on the bike as well, but you've got Jason West right behind him and Jesse the Elf behind him as well. We've heard so many times how good Starkey is on this bike. Take a look, the pro men, they're out and they're off onto the bike course.
Normally, somebody comes to watch you race and they see the swim, and then you go out on the bike and they like go get a coffee or something. So I think they get a closer look at like the battles that are happening, how the gaps go out, maybe on the bike, or they come back on the run. And
Pro women just out of the lake right now. You can see right now, it looks like Haley is in the lead. She's gonna come over here to bike number 3 right there, the green one. It matches her kit. She's gonna throw her stuff in the bag, throw her helmet on. You can see her shoes are already loaded and she is gonna be off. Let me tell you, that is not how fast I go through transition. It looks like Sophie just got out of the water. She's bike number 1. Remember, in transition 2, these guys were set up 1, 2, 3. She's taking off her swim skin right now. She's gonna jump on that bike and she's gonna hit this course, this 50-mile course through the beautiful Watkins Glen wine country.
It's a super short transition, so kind of remembering that as I'm about to get out of the water, kind of those next steps to hurry slowly in transition, which is what I always taught myself.
Each time I get out there, I like to push the limits of what I did the last time. I think it's one of those sports, right, where it always hurts just as much as it did the first time, only you get a little bit faster and you get a little better and you learn how to manage things.
I read a book. It's a very old sports psychology book called The Inner Game of Tennis from the 1950s. But what that book taught me to do is to turn off negative thinking. Once I learned how to do that many years ago, that's gone now. So there are a lot of people out there race morning, why am I here? What am I doing? Have I done the work? You know, and then the race gets hard and they start asking themselves those kinds of questions. I learned how to turn all of that off and just be in the moment and focus on process and actually enjoy it. Gotten myself finally to a place where it's a much better place, where if I actually have a good performance in me, it's more likely to come out because of the way I'm able to stay calm and just focus on the moment.
Clash Watkins Glen is underway with everyone through transition 1 and onto the bike for 50 scenic miles through wine country. Stay with us.
Way to go, 169, way to go. Good job, 142, good job.
I have heard the bike course is going to be a little bit challenging.
Yeah, I was able to ride the bike course. It's definitely challenging. I think the first 10 miles were uphill. You know, I think that's actually an advantage for me.
What does your other world think about this world?
I think I'm getting a lot of people interested in it and respecting it. Even in MMA, you've got to have a better gas tank than I think a lot of guys have. Now, it's definitely different energy systems, but you still need to have that, just that base gas tank. I think a lot of the guys like the bike, though, because that's one of those things that you go hit some mountains. You want to talk about building strength in the legs for a sport like mixed martial arts. I mean, there's nothing better.
You mentioned running into Jason West.
Yes.
And this is the first time you're going to be able to race with him?
When he was a freshman and he came to Penn State and he said to me, oh, take me out and show me some of the roads. We went out on a bike ride. It was literally maybe his first week out. I showed him some new roads and he showed me some mercy. I mean, I could tell right away this kid had it. He's having an amazing year. You know, he's the 70.3 North American champ.
That's been my goal is trying to work on the bike. The swim's been there for a while, and yeah, everybody knows I can run really well, and I feel like I always get everybody's best ride because they know they got to get rid of me. So if I'm hanging out, they're going to be attacking, riding as hard as they can, and that's what you want. It's just good hard racing.
So Starkey's the leader. He came back by about 4 minutes ago. You see we got Jason West and Nick Chase. This is where the real battle is right now on the bike.
Bike's going to be full on because we're going to be trying to distance ourselves or go with Starkey because that's just what you want to do. You want to go on the locomotive, right? I want to just see how far I can push every single leg. I think as long as each triathlete can show up and have those little bits of victories, like, oh yeah, I broke that person, or I got a little bit of a 10-second gap here, and you just kind of like play chess along the day. Starkey obviously is going to try to rip our legs off.
You know, it's not like auto racing where you have a crew chief who's kind of watching everybody else and knows what's going on. You're in your own world here, and all of a sudden they're hearing numbers where I'm X distance ahead, and you know, you're playing that mind game.
See, you shouldn't be a Brad Keselowski fan. You should be like a Dale Earnhardt fan because you're like the intimidator out there. Can you get in their heads while you're going by them?
Hopefully I don't have to go by them.
It's true.
Here he comes, here comes Starkey. He's our pro men's leader right now. Off the bike first into T2. Take a look. All the guys knew that he was gonna be the one to beat on the bike, and he's got about a 5-minute lead. Way to go, buddy.
You know, all of a sudden my lead grows in the early part of the race, and the mistakes that you make throughout the race affect you in that final third.
Austin is right on that boundary right there. It looks like Jason West with the faster transition of the two. Nick Chase on his way out as well. So these guys are just over 5 minutes down as they get started.
On the bike too, I feel all the women are very strong. They're experienced and veterans. And I feel like especially with the veterans, they're just super, super solid all around. I mean, they've had that full distance experience where I necessarily haven't had that yet.
It's managing the whole race.
Yeah, it's really managing the whole race. Also, being able to deal with the conditions on the day, right? And knowing how much you can push and not burning matches too early.
And really my goal from the bike after seeing parts of the course and hearing about it, it's super hilly. So it's that kind of management of putting out higher effort and power on the hills, but not so high that you burn all your matches before the run. So really just looking for a steady effort and riding smart.
It is a pretty hilly, challenging course, but spectacularly beautiful.
I think this will be a great test with the hills. It's actually quite technical too in certain parts, so that's not something I've really experienced on a race course quite yet. I do really want to push the bike a little bit. I feel I've kind of held back in the past a little bit on the bike. I'm still gaining experience in terms of what kind of power can I put out and still run well for the entire 10 miles.
We got our first pro woman in. That's Sophie Watts right there, making her way through transition. We got a battle for second and third coming up shortly. Here they come.
Every part of the race is connected, and obviously you want to stay present in the moment. At the same point, you have to also consider the race in its totality. And
so at what point do you light that matchbook? At what point is it just go?
The run is, okay, if we're feeling good, really get after it.
The pros have completed transition 2 and are off to run the challenging Watkins Glen International. That's next. Stay with us. Here he comes. Here comes Starkey. He's our pro men's leader right now. Off the bike first into T2. Take a look. All the guys knew that he was going to be the one to beat on the bike, and he's got about a 5-minute lead.
I'm nowhere close to as talented as most of these kids, or even the guys that are my age that I raced over the years. I think I just work harder. You got to be willing to hurt and suffer day in, day out in order to do this. It's 24/7. And some people, it's hard to give up your personal life in order to be at the top.
I keep trying to turn myself into the best swim biker I could be, and I know that run's always going to be there. I think at the biggest races in the world, you've got to come off the bike with the leaders. Every day in training, that's what I'm thinking of, is how can I get to the end of the ride and be at the front, and then make my run, deliver a really big performance. If you've trained and you've prepared, you know what to do, and you just got to go out.
Hard part's over, right?
Yeah, the racing's the easy part. It's just go out and do what you're capable of doing.
Jason West has a phenomenal pedigree. He's been so successful. So if there's any chance to wiggle him off, we're going to go for it, and then see if he can bridge back on the hilly run course of the Glen. If I have a bit of a gap or a lead, or if I'm sitting top 3, I'm going to just work everything I know how to do to try to get a victory or hold on to that podium for dear life.
Running for me is obviously my strength, so that's always my mindset too when going into a race, is obviously conserving for the run and finding that right pace and controlling myself. These women are very experienced, incredibly gifted, great results too, so it'll be a good battle at the end. I'm excited.
It's just every race I've done in recent years has just felt like a bonus opportunity. I don't take it for granted, but I think I'll be just as happy if I finish in, last place, because I admire these women who are racing so much.
On the run, which is typically my strength, for me, just taking a bit more of a risk with the pacing at the beginning and seeing how it goes.
I think the craziest thing is when people look at me, and sometimes it's women my age, sometimes they're younger, and they'll say, oh gosh, I wish I could do what you do. Anybody can do it. You need to be dedicated and to put the time in. I think people think I'm always so upbeat and happy. Oh man, there are plenty of whining moments. There are plenty of mornings where I lay in bed and do not want to get up. But the minute I'm out there, it's always awesome.
That's what excites me most, right? Is that run on the track where each loop, you know what it is, you know what you're in for. So I'm kind of excited to see, am I going to slow down? Am I going to be able to push the pace on it? I'm curious to see what time I can get out there.
What's it gonna mean? I mean, just having my family here, just so they can experience it at least one more time. You know, as you get towards the end of your career, which I don't know when that will be, but you never know when that last victory would be. To be able to share that 1 or 2 or 3 more times with them is something that I hope is possible.
Because victory is a family affair, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah. Everybody's happy when Daddy wins.
Anytime I can just end up thrashed on the podium or finish line, I'm happy, trust me. Like a victory would mean an immense amount of emotion for me. But I'm just still happy to be living this lifestyle, supporting a team, having a loving family to get back to, and not taking myself too seriously.
So what would it be like if you won?
Any win that you get is accumulation of all the emotions and the work and everything that's gone into that moment, but it's also a platform to start motivation for the next race. When we get on the race course, it's kind of every woman for herself in some ways, but at the same time, these women are very sweet friends. It's great to see the camaraderie and just the support for each other and each other's victories too, which you don't always see in sport, right?
I'm going to fight, I'm going to go hard, I'm going to try to win, but I am definitely going to celebrate that finish line regardless of the place.
There are a lot of awesome women in the field, but none as awesome as you. Let me see these. Like, loving them.
I'm really excited to just knock it out and then enjoy more of what Watkins Glen has to offer, because it's been really fun seeing it before the race. Once the race is done, though, it will be even more enjoyable just to be around such a cool place.
For this, I definitely try to think of reasons why I'm doing this personally that I'm going to have to bring up later in the race, which will happen on the run almost every time. I think about a lot of people that are going through much harder times than me being out on an awesome racetrack having a run.
Thanks, man. Hey, I'll do these all the time. This is fun.
Have you raced with your kids?
Yeah, it's the best. It's just always so special.
Why does it make you so emotional?
You don't often have time to tell your kid that you're proud of him or show it. I really value that. I love that he's doing something and getting as much joy out of it as I am. I see a lot of myself in my kids, but there's not a lot of good opportunities to share that with them. Our whole family's involved.
People get out there and if they have a bad race, then they feel bad about themselves. It's like, well, you're going to have a bad race if you stay at it long enough. The performances do not equate to somebody's value. They equate to what they were able to do on the day. And assuming that they're training and working hard, that's all it is, and there'll be another day.
I coach baseball for my 8-year-old boys. I actually had one Saturday that I had a 55-mile bike ride on the calendar. Knew I needed to get it done to keep up with training. Had a baseball game in the middle of the day. And fortunately, my wife was supportive and agreed to meet me at the baseball game. So I rolled up in cycling gear and changed clothes real quick and coached the baseball game, and we won. So just focus on the duty that lies nearest and get to work.
My kids think I'm nuts. truth be told, in their own ways, you can see how proud they are. And my biggest thing for them is I want them to realize that no matter what age, no matter what you put your mind to, if you put your mind to it and you put the work in, you can do it.
I hope we gave you a great behind-the-scenes look at the world of triathlon. What a great event. Thank you so much for joining us here on Clash Endurance All Access. Thank you to Watkins Glen and the Finger Lakes region for being a fantastic host. For more information on Clash Endurance, visit us at clashendurance.com. See you at the track.